So we're going to continue. We left off with the machlokes of Basham and Beis Hillel. We've been talking about it for a little while, about sukkah. Somebody who, Rosh Hashanah b'sukkah v'shulchan b'toich habayis, like we mentioned, the shulchan in the bayis speaks about a person taking responsibility for his Yiras Shamayim. Reb Tzodok was saying that this is the machlokes, that the Beis Shammai hold that this is not a proper bitochen. Person can't have proper bitochen if he has shulchan b'toich habayis, if he still thinks there's something that he's in charge of. And the Beis Hillel believe that even if somebody is like that, as long as it's Rosh Hashanah b'sukkah, meaning everything else he believes that Hashem is in charge of, then this is a proper sukkah. So says Reb Tzodok, v'nimtza inya machlokes zi the sukkah adrabah Beis Shammai achzi b'midas David HaMelech al v'shalom ha'mitis, Beis Hillel omrim lehefech. So if you think about what's being said spiritually, the Beis Shammai are demanding that you rely fully on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Beis Hillel are allowing you to leave your Yiras Shamayim in the hands of a human being, in your own hands. So usually we would say that David HaMelech, who Beis Hillel himself was a Nasi, and he was from the Mishpach of David HaMelech. He was a great-grandson, great. But nevertheless, he was from the family of kingdom, and it would be suitable that Hillel should paskin in accordance with the Yichud HaSholem, which that's when the Beis David can be in charge, is when we believe that everything is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And here we see the opposite, that the Beis Shammai is saying that you have to believe everything's from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the Beis Hillel are saying that even if you don't, even if you believe that you're in charge of your own Yiras Shamayim, you're also Yotze. So he says, Afilo hocha, bekan hoya abir ragomer daike. Like when did they decide that they're going to paskin according to Beis Hillel? Dafke from this halacha, bekach yamide. Shezei rak mitzad hachokma, shebeis Hillel omrim kefi halacha re'im lehilech v'anhogas oila. Meaning that even though in this area, the mid of the Beis Hillel would usually be to agree with the Beis Shammai and say that a person needs to rely on everything for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because if he doesn't, then he's going to leave a space where he and HaKadosh Baruch Hu can get into a conflict. And once a person gets into a conflict with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he loses access to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he loses access to the truth. So he says, Dafka in this place we see how much the Beis Hillel cared about reality, because they were mevater on their midah in order to address reality. Reality needs that human beings should improve. Reality needs human beings to realize that there's something, some place where they should place their energy in order to make the world a better place. And therefore, the Beis Hillel, even though it's against their midah, we're ready to paskin the opposite of their midah for the benefit of humanity. That humanity needs this type of belief, and this is what's necessary for Anhogas Oilam. Aval nekudas chaim shebelibam, inside their hearts, Dovik b'sholem was Dovik in peace, midas David HaMelech olav v'sholem be'emes. The tachlis of why the Beis Hillel paskind what they paskind is in order to get to the yichud, in order to get to the midas sholem. So the Beis Hillel were willing to be mevater on the Yiras Shamayim, that a person should believe that he's in charge of the Yiras Shamayim in order to allow Klal Yisrael to progress further, in order to allow Klal Yisrael to become better. So they're so steeped in the yichud that they can allow even a departure from it and still hold on to the yichud. Mashenk and the Beis Shammai, because they're working to get towards the yichud, anything they'll be mevater, they'll lose touch with the yichud. They won't have it. They don't have the relationship as deep as the Beis Hillel. Dafke in this machlokes nisbar de divreim b'zeh gamkein she'achzu b'sholem midas David HaMelech olav v'sholem v'ikdimu divrei Beis Shammai lidivreim v'hovim zeh heitev. So it says dafke in this place. This is where you see that the halacha is like the Beis Hillel. This is where you see what the Beis Hillel are going for. And this is also on people. This is also on us. And this is something that's important for us to know in these generations, is that dafke in a time where life is not the way it's supposed to be, where people are not the way they're supposed to be, where people don't understand themselves, what a person does in these times, these are the times that prove who a person really is. In the time where the wisdom is available, in the time where everybody knows what's true, then it's much easier for a person to go down the right path because it's available, it's open. But now when all the roads are closed, when the wisdom is gone, when people don't understand, now is the question, what are we going to vote for? What do we really want? And a person needs to be able to be authentic with themselves and realize that they don't know what they want. They need to request from HaKadosh Baruch Hu the intelligence that they should be able to know what they want. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu created, with the tremendous intelligence available within nature, all the galaxies, trillions of them, and koshkin within the galaxies, all the details, all the stars, all the planets, and on our planet, all the plants, all the animals, all the people. So when a person realizes who he's dealing with, he needs to look up to Shemaim and say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you created all that. Please give me the intelligence to be able to understand myself more, to be able to know what I really want, to understand what I'm supposed to do with everything that you gave me. And what happens if a person does that authentically? He'll feel something. Something inside of him is going to move. And what happens when something moves inside of us? We rearrange our priorities. We become different. We change how we see life, how we see reality. And so when a person becomes true to himself, he creates a new will, he creates a new reality inside of him. A reality that wouldn't have been available to him if he hadn't done that, if he hadn't requested. This is why when we request from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we say, Yehi ratzon milfanecha Hashem Elokeinu v'Elokei Aviseinu. What does it mean, Yehi ratzon? There should be a will. Where should there be that will? And the answer is the will needs to be inside of the person. Only if the person develops a will can HaKadosh Baruch Hu afterwards manifest that will. So when we say Yehi ratzon, it means that we're focusing our koyach of will, we're directing our will, in order to create the will, in order to manifest the will from within HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in order to make something real, a new reality that wouldn't have happened otherwise. And then the nefesh is going to prioritize whatever that will was. If a person really has a will to become more intelligent, his nefesh will now do the things necessary in order to attain that goal. It will start making an effort in that direction. And the deeper the will, and the more strong the will, the more likely it is to manifest. The more likely it is that we'll continue investing whatever is necessary within that will in order to make that will a reality. And that's the key. The key is that if we want something enough, we need to vote with our life force. And we need to spend our life force on that thing to show that we want it. And that can only happen when we go deeper and deeper inside of our will, when we make to ourselves more and more clear what it is we want. In today's external society, people say, what? Anyway, no, I'm not going to gain the knowledge of the truth. So many people wanted to know the truth and didn't arrive. So why would I even make the effort? Why would I invest anything? And the answer is because in the spiritual world, it's not all or nothing. It's every little investment makes the difference. Right now, you're spending your day doing things. Those things you're worshiping, you're developing, you're creating relationships with. And they stay with you, and they go with you, and they sleep with you, and they eat with you, and everywhere you go, you're taking them with you. Now you have to start becoming conscious about what those things are. You have to start making those choices by your understanding of what's really best. And constantly clarifying to yourself what it is you really want. And this is how we can gain things out of tefillah. Tefillah has to happen, it's called avodah shebelev. What does it mean, avodah shebelev? You organizing your heart on what's your priorities. How do you think about life? What's important to you? What do you really want? Because everything that happens in this world happens first within man. Every will, every desire, and this is simple to see if you look physically. You walk down the street, you see all the buildings, all the cars, all the trees even. Everything was created first in man's mind. Somebody thought of this house that it's going to be this way, and he wanted it enough, and he committed time and energy and money, and eventually here it is, now it stands there. Somebody wanted this bridge, somebody wanted this building. It came out of people. It didn't come directly from God down on earth. Everything comes through people. And the more a person knows how to develop his will and how to place his will permanently inside his spirit, the more likely it is that what he wants will take place in this planet, because he's going to start devoting whatever is necessary in order to make it a reality. And this takes wisdom to know what to want and how to make it real. Not everything we want is smart. Some things, if we'll invest our desire in something that's not attainable, we're going to lose our spiritual power. We're going to lose our spiritual force because we're going to keep coming up against the wall. And then that weakens us. That weakens our will. And this is why Chazal were trying to protect us from desiring and wanting all kinds of different things in life that maybe we think we should have. But if it's not available, we shouldn't go after it. Because if we go with our will after things that are not available, we're blemishing our will, we're making it weaker. We're taking our divine power and we're breaking it. And so this is why we see in the Torah constantly there's this paradox about human pleasure. So for example, if I do something kind to another person, if I give to eat to another human being or to another Jew, everywhere in the Torah you will see that's a huge mitzvah. It's one of the biggest mitzvahs you can do is Gemilas Chasadim. In fact, our entire religion is based on this. Avraham Avinu, his conclusions about life and about God only came mitzad his Gemilas Chasadim, mitzad his Milas HaChesed that he was so steeped in. However, if I want to feed a Jew that happens to live in my body, then it gets complicated. Then it's not always a mitzvah. And why is that? Why, if somebody else is feeding me, it's a mitzvah? If I'm feeding myself, it's not always a mitzvah. Sometimes it's a problem. And the same thing for other pleasures. If I'm doing it for somebody else, I'm doing a mitzvah. If I'm doing it for myself, sometimes it's a mitzvah, sometimes it's not a mitzvah. What does that depend on? How could the Torah be so driving you in opposite directions? If it's good, it should always be a mitzvah. If it's not good, then it should never be a mitzvah. How could it be that when you do it for others it's a mitzvah and you do it for yourself it's not a mitzvah? The answer is, it's not the problem that you're going to eat. The problem is that if we tell you that you have to, you're going to be running after it even in times when you can't have it. You have to remember what the Golus looked like. Some people didn't have to eat. So what then? What do we do with them? Should they be all day? Should they be busy crying that they don't have food? Some people had no money. Most people had no way to control the weather. These are all sufferings that people had to go through. They had no choice. And therefore the Torah demanded of you that regardless of your situation, regardless of how little you have physically, you still need to do your spiritual work to be happy. Because your wife and your children still need a happy father. Even if you didn't eat. Even if it's cold. And these were the harsh realities that people had to deal with in the past. Baruch Hashem, we don't have to deal with these harsh realities. But even then, a person that was blessed with money, so you see in Chazal that they interpreted that to mean that HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows you to eat. You can eat. Because if he gave you the money to eat, then you should eat. Otherwise, why would he give you the money? It's like one of the things that mentioned in Keheles is Oisher Shama L'Balav L'Ra'aseh, where a person actually has the money and he can't enjoy it because his heart and his mind are not available to it. And so when the Torah speaks about that it's bad to go after pleasure, it's talking about going after things you can't have. Because when you're going to want things that you can't have, you're going to be pogim in your rotzen. You're going to ruin your willpower. And when you ruin your willpower, you're not going to be able to take care of the tasks of life anymore. You're not going to be a well-oiled machine. You're going to be a broken-down machine. You're going to lack motivation. And so when we develop a desire, when we allow ourselves to desire, it should be a pure desire. And for the pure desires that we have, we should designate time to speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu about these desires and to place these desires deep within our hearts so that we know that this is most important to us, above everything else. Above all the things that come and go, we want to acquire things that are permanent. Above all the things that have to do with the five senses, we want to acquire access to the spiritual, access to what's running the five senses, what lives behind the five senses. And that's how we can develop realities for ourselves that will be more stable, that will be more permanent, rather than allowing all our stimulation to come from things that come and go constantly. And as much as we try to fill that void in ourselves, we still find a void afterwards. And so this has to do with building rotzon within the nefesh, creating within you a desire, even though it's impossible. It makes no sense. It can never be. But you desire it, you want it. And only by enough people wanting something enough, eventually can it happen. If everybody is going to say, well, if it's not going to happen, I'm not going to want it, I'm not going to invest in it, then it's never going to happen. Only by enough people wanting it strong enough can it happen. And this is a basic reality that everybody that's born today can realize, that major changes in how we run society need to take place. And these changes will not take place unless people want them to happen, unless people realize how important it is that they happen. And this importance can only be built within the human soul. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when reality will go through the experience of enough people wanting the truth, of enough people wanting what's good for humanity, wanting what's right and what's real, then it will manifest out of those souls, out of those people. And that's gonna be the koach for change. That's always how change happened, and that's always how change will happen, is when within the people awakens a desire. And we see this by Moshe Rabbeinu when he came to Klal Yisrael in Mitzrayim. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent him, and Moshe Rabbeinu said, V'hem lo yaminu li, they're not going to believe me. So the simple question is, you have the creator of the universe on your side, and he says he's going to do something. Does it matter what they're going to believe or not believe? And the answer is yes, it does. Moshe Rabbeinu knew what he was talking about, and he understood that if Klal Yisrael won't believe him, he can't manifest for them a geula. It doesn't matter how good and how close he is to reality. If Klal Yisrael doesn't believe him, if Klal Yisrael is not willing to manifest that same reality within themselves, there's nothing he can do. That's their power of Bechira. They can make it not happen. Like HaKadosh Baruch Hu told them, have no worries. Who decides what they believe? I have a hand in that also. And so HaKadosh Baruch Hu ultimately, like Reb Tzodok says, that there's a machlokes between Klal Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That Klal Yisrael says, Ashivenu Hashem elecho v'nashuva. Return us to you, and then we'll come back. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Shuva alai v'shiva alechem. You return to me, and then I'll return to you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants that we should give the Srisa de Lasata first. We should come from the bottom, and we should start opening ourselves up to a new possibility. Klal Yisrael wants HaKadosh Baruch Hu to start tapping on the shoulder and tell them about what's possible before they even start working. And so Reb Tzodok says, who's going to be right? He says, when they're going to realize the truth, then they're both going to be right at the same time. Because when Klal Yisrael wakes up, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wakes up. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu wakes up, Klal Yisrael wakes up. It's that unity that we're trying to attain. So after we attain the unity, from whichever side it came, it's the same thing. It's all the same thing. It's an awakening of reality within reality. That's all that can possibly happen here. It's whatever was not real, suddenly notices that there's something deeper, that there's something beyond. And that alone is a waking up of Klal Yisrael, and it's a waking up of HaKadosh Baruch Hu at the same time, the same awakening. So it says, V'zeh ini machlokes im tov yoseh shenivre misheloi nivre. They had a machlokes im noich l'udem sheloi nivre mishenivre, and nimnu v'gamru, that noich l'udem sheloi nivre mishenivre. It's much more comfortable, it's much more easy for a person to not be nivra. But achshav shenivra yasek b'Torah. Now that he's here, he has to start making some kind of order of his experience in order to get to a place where it's definitely going to be better to be created than not created. Reb Tzodok says that inyan nivra, what does it mean to be a nivra? It means shu nifrad b'fnei atzmoi v'nikel nivra. Shidover acher v'cholek min habayre shemiyachad hakol. It says being a nivra doesn't just mean that you reside in the body. Just because you reside in the body, you're not yet a nivra. You're still part of the Mekar. When do you become a nivra? When you start thinking of yourself as a separate entity. That's when you leave the Yichud of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and you become your own man. You become your own thing. You just decided that you are outside of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That makes you a nivra. You're not anymore part of the Mokar. Ve'inyan shelo nivra, haina shaku b'mekoiroi. V'kshechoizel l'mekoiroi, ikamo shelo nivra. So it says, what does it mean being a loy nivra. Being a loy nivra means that you're kolol b'mekoira. You don't have any thoughts. You don't have any feelings of your own. You don't have any ideas about what you should be. You are what he made you. You're part of him. You're part of the Mokkah. You're part of what was created. You're a piece of that. And therefore you have no self-identity. You have no self. You're just one with it. That's called shaloi nivra. You weren't created. Nothing came out. There's nobody there. Both of them could be true. Reb Meir is called shaloi nivra, right? Because he is miyached back to the Misha Omar V'hoi Oilam that goes back to before there was nivraim. And the Chachomim are begeder nivra. They say, no, you're your own man and you have to take care of your business. You have to make sure that you're not poigim in the b'rir. V'zeh atzmoi inin kishabrichi shchintai. Kishabrichi is like Reb Meir and the shchin is like the Chachomim. Aniskel elamal roshi and shomit v'reini. V'zeh yisoid Masechtes Erevin. He mentioned this at the beginning, that Masechtes Erevin, the purpose of it, yisoid the lasses merishis harab merishis hayochit. V'chodil chosei levar de v'zeh b'u. So the whole concept of Masechtes Erevin, the whole concept of Erev is to take a Rishus Harabah, meaning take a world where there are many Nivram, where there are many people that think that they're separate, where everybody is running around as his own boss, and bring it all together to the Yichud, bring it back to become Rishus HaYochid, a Rishus that belongs only to one, that belongs to one Father, to one Creator, to one system, and everybody within it is working for everybody within it to make it the best that it can be. So the question was by Chazal, what's better? Is it better that a person should become a nivra and then he can start interacting with the world and he can start moving things around and manifesting his will into life? Or is it better that he's a loy nivra, that he goes back into the mokker and he's not active? That we said before. The same achloikes, if Misha Rosh Ruba Sukkah v'shulchan b'toich habayis, is the machlokes of noich le'lodem shenoi livra misha nivra. What does it mean to be a nivra? That shulchana b'toich habayis. Your Yerushalayim is yours. Okay, you're responsible for something. Now you're a nivra. Or noich le'lodem shenoi nivra. Take even your table into the sukkah. Everything is him. And then is choizelim koire. Then there's nothing. V'loshen eize noich yoyser rotzaloymer mamayesh neichel odam yoyser. When does a person feel more accomplished? When does a person feel a deeper peace? Does he get more peace when he's in the level of not being created? That he should recognize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is within and surrounds everything just like it was before the world was created, and therefore there's nothing yet. There is no separation. Or maybe the opposite. Is it better for a person? When is the person going to feel more accomplished? If he becomes somebody and he succeeds to be that somebody, or if he doesn't become nobody and he's below all of it. He doesn't even manifest the will that he can then do or not do. He doesn't even go in together nifrad. He doesn't even go in as a separate being. He's just rolling with the flow. He's going with whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu is creating. So where is a person going to find deeper peace? And the answer was, Nimnu v'gamru, noich l'rodem shel noy nivra misha nivra. Be'emes, if a person can stay in that place where nothing can bother him, where he doesn't even get involved in life, where he doesn't have to come into all the details, then for sure he's going to be better off. But the problem is, we lose access to that place. If we lose access to that place, now that he doesn't have access to that place, what is he going to do? Yasik b'Torah. So now that he's not in that place, now that he can't go to that place of peace of being a loy nivra because he's already tangled up with all the nivraim, so now how are you going to untangle yourself from all these nivraim? Yasik b'Torah. The Torah is going to come and make seder. And then the ultimate goal of the Torah is that a person should be able to be a nivra, that it shouldn't be a problem. Why do we have now a problem being a nivra? The reason there's a problem now being a nivra is because our life, our minds are run by an imagination. And the imagination is not mechuvan to reality. So when we experience life from the imagination that's not mechovan to reality, the fact that you're a nivra becomes a problem for you. The fact that you're a nivra means that you're trying to manifest realities, you're trying to create your will, you're trying to do what you think is right, and it doesn't work out for you. So it's just one big frustration. Masha'enken, when the Torah is going to be understood properly, and Klal Yisrael is going to be in charge of the dimyon, of the imagination, when we'll understand how it works, then adrabah. Then to be a nivra is going to be a good thing. To be a nivra it means that you're actually bringing out your koiches min hakoich hapoel. And this is an important difference between how Judaism sees life versus some of the other wisdoms that are available in the world. Because to some of the other wisdoms, the goal is that you're able to completely disconnect, and then you separate yourself from the Gashmias Bechlal. You separate yourself from your five senses, you separate yourself from your desires, you separate yourself from what you think is right, and you just find peace in complete stillness. However, the Torah, you separate yourself from there. The Torah wants you to be able to bring back to reality a version of it that works. It's not enough that you can find stillness and peace and be outside of life. You're supposed to come back into life and fix it. Life has a way of how it was supposed to work. You're right, it's broken. You're right to search for safety. But the ultimate goal is not to have safety. The ultimate goal is that it should be safe for everyone. That you should be able to bring back a way of living where everybody can live, so that people are born into goodness. They don't have to work on themselves and accomplish themselves and find different paths in order to realize their nature. They're born into their nature, because a household, a community, a country, a globe is tuned into reality. So everybody that comes into that type of household already has a ticket to reality. He doesn't have to struggle. He doesn't have to go look for the truth. He doesn't have to break anything. He doesn't have to confuse anything. He can just directly go to it. And this is the goal of the Torah. This is why the Torah is so much more complicated than many of the other systems. It's because the Torah is looking for a perfection that nobody else is looking for in the world. The Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu pegged us to such a high level. Moshe Rabbeinu demands of us to get to such a deep place in reality that there's no other chokhmah, there's no other wisdom, there's no other path that can get you to such a place. And because it's such a deep place, because it's such a high place, it's so painful when we get it wrong. It becomes so deeply confused when we misunderstand it, because it touches us in the very deepest places of our soul. It touches us in our very connection to what it means to be us. And not only does it touch us there, it demands from us quite a bit. It demands from us to have a lot of spiritual power, a lot of spiritual energy, a lot of spiritual force. And if we come at it from the wrong angles, we can get hurt. This is a very, very serious endeavor. We're touching the human brain from within. It's no less than surgery. And when we do it with the right intentions, when we do it from the right angle, when we do it and the person understands how to go along with it, it can be the best samachayim. There can be nothing better in the world. But if we do it from the wrong perspective, if we do it for the wrong reasons, if it goes down if it develops in the brain the wrong areas, there's nothing worse, there's nothing more dangerous. And so, bevadai, today, koshke v'koshken, if at the time of Chazal they already said, nimnu v'gamri no'echelud m'shananiv m'shanivra, today it's 1,000,000 times more so. Today, our situation is much worse than the situation Chazal were in. Chazal still had thousands upon thousands of Jews who understood reality. Chazal still had people, Baalei Ruach HaKodesh, that had connections to the Nevi'im, that had Mesoiris, that were specifically instructing them about life, about what it means, about what to do, about what not to do, about why we were instructed to do specific things, about how we're supposed to go about learning them. All this was still clear, at least to a big portion of society. Today, we have nothing. We have nothing. A person's entire development today has to come from a clear connection between him and the truth, between an authentic heart and the one who created it. That's the only place for us to find any truth. Because anywhere else, everything we're being told is filled with all kinds of misunderstanding. It's been passed on generation to generation for thousands of years. It's a very, very long time. It's enough time that the message is completely lost. The meaning is gone. The meaning is something that a person has to find within himself. It has to become real to him. And how do we know if it's real to him? Is when he interacts with life as if somebody created it. That's when we know. We don't know it because of any costume that he's wearing. We don't know it because of any things that he's doing. He might be doing them just because he's afraid. He might be just copying what he was always told that he has to do without anything inside alive. That's not religion, that's not spirituality, that's not Judaism. How do we know that something is hitting home, that it's becoming real? Is when a person realizes that somebody created life. When a person realizes that somebody created life, he has to interact with it with respect. He can't step on people. Somebody can step on people, it means that he hasn't understood somebody created life. So whatever he's doing for the wrong reasons. Even if he's the frommest guy I've ever met, everything he's doing is coming from the wrong place. It's not coming from a pure connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because the first understanding when a person realizes that somebody really created this world is to understand how to respect what he created, how to respect people, how to respect life. That's something that every religion knows. That's something that every human being is programmed to know, is biologically designed to understand. And so, as long as that part of us is disconnected, then there's no religion, there's no spirituality, there's no connection to any truth. It's just words, it's just concepts and ideas that are driving that person, but there's no real person. There's nobody there. And so, today, obviously, like I said before, if in the time of Chazal was already today it's much more so. Much more deeply can we say that a person who is born today would have been much more comfortable not being born. Nevertheless, now that he is born, he has to be Oisik B'Torah, meaning he has to go look for the truth. He has no other choice. He's going to live anyway. He has to make it count. He has to get whatever he can out of this experience, so that afterwards he doesn't regret all the trouble he went through to be incarnated into a body, and he got nothing to show for it. So we should all be Zoichah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should have Rachmim on us, and he should show us that in truth, Avada, if he created us, it's Noich Le'Odam Shenivra Yosem Misheloi Nivra, and we should be able to understand what we're learning. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should make it sweet in our mouth, and in our heart, and in our eyes, so that we could all together be Zoichah to the Gula Shleim Amer B'Yemenu.